Hello everyone and welcome back to My Opinion. New Zealand have beaten South Africa in the second semi-final, meaning they've booked their place in the final to play against India on the 9th. Let's get into this review. Starting off with the 11th, I'd said in my previous video that I expected both teams to go with unchanged sides from their previous matches, and they both did that. But for New Zealand, I'd said they could contemplate playing Nathan Smith ahead of Kyle Jamieson given the surface. They went with Kyle Jamieson. And I'd say again, I think their thinking is, let's own the new ball phase and the spinners can bowl economically in the middle. Have they got the strongest death bowling resources? No. But in ODI cricket, if you get to the 40th over, the batting side is establish a base, then you're probably going to lose the match anyway. So let's own the first 40 overs of the innings. So that's why I think they went with that. And from a South African point of view, they went with the 11 that I said they would go with, but I thought Tabraiz Shamsi should play ahead of Lungi Ngidi, but I expected them not to do that. And the moment Mitchell Santner won the toss and chose to bat, and South Africa have played the wrong combination, I knew New Zealand were going to win this match. And we've seen this from the World Cup. In the first match that they played against Sri Lanka and Delhi, scored 429. And I thought Rabada and Jansen were going to open the bowling, and Lungi Ngidi takes the new ball. He gives 18 runs in the first over that he bowls in that tournament. And I can't believe, especially given the conditions in Pakistan, a good batting surface, and you've got an attacking bowler like Ahisa Rabada, you know your bowling is weak, and you're giving Lungi Ngidi the new ball ahead of your best bowler. I really don't understand that. And some people think, okay, the first 5 overs that he bowled, 1 for 23 and 5, and New Zealand got to 56 for 1 and 10. And some can incorrectly think, oh, we've got the opposition in check. If you don't strike up front in a surface like that, you got no chance. What impact did that 1 for 23 and 5 have in the game? Nothing. And even the 1 wicket that he got was because Will Young unnecessarily tried to sort of swing at that when he was still going well, playing classical shots beforehand. Marco Jansen also offered some timely boundary balls, as did Lungi Ngidi, and the openers were going about things with no fuss. Then Will Young looked to play that shot, so yes, he's taken 1 wicket on the scoreboard, but if you don't strike up front, if you don't make sure the opposition doesn't establish a foundation after 20 overs, you've got no chance, especially with a weaker bowling attack. So I thought it was very poor tactically from South Africa. And now I'd say they should play 2 frontline spinners. Keshav Maharaj was brought onto bowl in the 16th over, and after 4 overs, he gave 14 runs when the opposition has already got up to a start. But because they had got up to that start, he couldn't contain things towards the end, and he went for 65 and 10 without picking up a wicket. And what this reminds me of, you saw the match in the World Cup versus India at the Eden Gardens, where Marco Jansen, Lungi Ngidi bowled up front. India scored 91 in the first 10. Then you've got Rabada being introduced at first change, who went for 48 and 10. And Maharaj went for 24 and 10, yet India got to 323. Why? If you don't use your best bowlers at the correct moments, and you let the opposition get up to a start, and with the margins in international cricket, they're very small, you have no chance of winning the match. And we saw that today on a good batting surface. You're bowling Rabada for 1 over in the power play, and that's the 9th over where he goes for 3 runs. And he couldn't contain things either at the end, because when you've let things drift so far, how can you expect your 2 best bowlers just to put in a performance on a good batting surface against a good batting lineup? So I would not blame Rabada and Maharaj for today's performance, because they were introduced. If Tabraiz Shamsi had played, they could have had 10 more overs of spin, and would they have conceded 360 odd? No, they wouldn't have done. If Rabada had bowled up front, would he have gone for 17 10 overs? I don't think so. So it was very poor tactically from South Africa. And hundreds for Rachin Ravindra, hundreds for Kane Williamson, set things up very nicely. And until the end of my previous video, I was thinking I'd give the edge to New Zealand. Now, when I was comparing the 11s, the reason why at the end I gave an edge to South Africa is because of the batting depth in these conditions, where you're looking at what New Zealand did in the last 10. They were 250, I think, in 40 overs. And when you're comparing their death-hitting engine room to South Africa, you've got Glenn Phillips, but then Daryl Mitchell takes his time and then looks to explode. Michael Bracewell isn't a power hitter. Tom Latham isn't a power hitter. Mitchell Santner isn't a power hitter. So you're comparing these two sides. You're thinking you'd much rather be in the South African camp when it comes to end overs hitting. And I'd said this before. Tom Latham, if you're going to bat him outside the top 4, is he going to provide value for you across situations? No. And in the century he scored against Pakistan, he walked out early and he was on 72 of 82. Then he took his strike rate to above 100 by playing classical shots. He's not a power hitter. And they sent out Daryl Mitchell at 4 because, one, that's what they do. Secondly, they were looking to take advantage of the platform. But at number 5, in that case, are you going to send out Tom Latham? No, because it's impractical. And what they could have done from the start of the tournament is you play Devon Conway, you let him keep, then you play Mark Chapman ahead of Tom Latham, that gives you a power hitter at the end. Then this side, they would have certainly been able to get more than what they had got. Michael Bracewell faced 12 deliveries for 16. Tom Latham, 4 of 5. If you give 17 deliveries to Mark Chapman in that situation against this attack on this surface, surely they would have got close to 380 according to me. So that's what I thought New Zealand could have done. I don't think they will change it. And because of how well Glenn Phillips went, how well Daryl Mitchell went, Michael Bracewell provided a decent sort of a foil to Glenn Phillips at the end. So 362 for 6, well above par. Very good performance from New Zealand. And you're looking at the bowling figures for South Africa. I'd said Marco Jansen is a single-phase bowler. In the last 5 overs after the power play, is he going to do anything? No, none for 79 and 10. He bowled 1 economical over towards the end, but it didn't make a difference. Lungi Ngidi, it says 3 for 50, 3 for 72 and 10. He was 1 for 23 after 5, and he has gone at almost 10 and over, picking up 2 wickets when the others are also going for runs. Did it have any consequence? Nothing. Kaisa Rabada, 2 for 70 and 10, brought on when the match was already gone. Rian Mura, 1 for 48 in 6. He's in the team for his batting. Keshav Maharaj also couldn't contain things because the others were going for runs. And the most economical bowler is Aiden Markram. Did he have any impact on the match? No. So it was a pathetic strategic performance as well from South Africa. And now in their batting innings, when you're chasing a score that much above par, Ryan Rickleton showed his class where he scored risk-free 4 boundaries. He showed his confidence with how well he's been going. And when he was dismissed, the chase was done then and there. And Tumbavuma was on 3 of 17. Then he accelerated to closer to a runnable. And from that point in time, what are you doing not accelerating further and scoring 56 of 71? I don't understand the approach. And at the other end, it seemed as if Rassie van der Dussen was going aggressively 69 of 66. What is being 120 in 20 overs going to do for you when you're chasing this kind of score? Nothing. In fact, it seemed as if they were looking to chase 310 rather than chasing 360. Tumbavuma is dismissed after digging a hole for his team. Then what I would have done is I would have sent Klaasen out of 4. Now, Klaasen was dismissed towards the end of the 29th over, and Markram walked out in the midpoint of the 23rd. Now, yes, Klaasen tried to go a bit squarer in my view than what he got, and the catch was taken at long on. However, if he walked out earlier, I feel he would have had time to consider more risk-free options while maintaining the strike rate, and he has every capability of doing that. Instead, you're sending him out when the run rate is increasing, and yes, he's done very well, but you can't expect him to rescue you from that situation all the time. You've got to give your best players the best chance to succeed. Aiden Markram scored 31 of 29, but given the required run rate, was that an optimum rate? No, it wasn't. He didn't play badly, but he was not the correct option to send out at that point in time. And something I didn't get. Now, yes, David Miller scored a century. We saw how the phase progression was with the way he scored this. Yes, wickets fell, but 137 of 53 was what was required at one stage. He's on 26 off 28, 8 to 6. And there's not much batting left. They're almost about to be bowled out. And then you go still playing in a runner ball when it's 107 off 28. I just didn't get it. And I don't usually say this, but with the way that it was an inexplicable celebration at the end, everyone's just giving a standing ovation when you've lost. You've been completely outplayed. Not at one point was South Africa in this match, and you're giving a standing ovation that someone scored a century when you're a team that. Now, I don't like to say this, of course. I like both the teams that played today. But when you know the rhetoric around how desperate you are to add another trophy to your silverware, you've won a trophy a long time back, and you know the context that you'd be desperate to add something else, and you're giving a standing ovation for someone scoring a century. And the only thing that I can say by that is I feel there's a good chance David Miller may announce his ODI retirement after this innings. Now, we saw Steve Smith did that after the semi-final versus India. Mushfiqur Rahim has done that today. And given the celebration, it did not seem logical. And that's why I want David Miller to continue playing. They've got a home World Cup in 2 years. But I just feel because of that, he may not do it, and I really hope he doesn't announce his retirement. But if he doesn't announce his retirement, also, that celebration is odd, because then you're nowhere close to winning the match. You've accelerated far too late. Is it just that you scored a century, everyone's cheering, the non-strikers cheering when you're given 360, and you're letting someone to score at the end when there's no consequence? It was very odd to see that, and that's why this was a really poor performance from South Africa. The reason why I gave them the edge is purely because of that batting depth. Now, Wayne Moses in this team because of his batting. He didn't go well today. Marco Jansen hasn't gone well with the bat for the last few months that I've seen him play. So, really, I didn't quite understand this performance from South Africa. When you've reached the semi-final stage, this really isn't the kind of performance that I would think a team would give. And on New Zealand, now this was the closest match where I thought that bowling template, not in terms of how the match went, but their bowling template was about to be broken, because I'd said, yes, it was inconsequential at the end, but Kyle Jamieson is not a death bowler. He does not have the variations or the pace to bowl at the death. He went for runs, as he did against India at the death, that enabled them to get to the score that they got to, and they defended it. Will O'Rourke went for runs. Now, Matt Henry picked up the wicket up front. And what they would have had to think about there is, now, do we have attacking spinners? No. But we've got economical bowlers, and can we alter the way we bowl as we please to make sure that when the fast bowlers are going for runs, we can get through things relatively unscathed and look to choke the opposition? And this is why I'm saying New Zealand are the best strategical team in the world, because that's exactly what they did. Mitchell Sanders, 3 for 43 and 10. Michael Brace, is he a frontline spinner? No. I feel he's someone who can bat and someone who can bowl. But if you see how often in the recent times he's been giving these economical performances to support the other bowlers, he's been very good at doing that. Rajendra Ravindra, they brought him on when the match was already over, 1 for 20 in 5 innings. He's a decent bowler. They've not been bowling Glenn Phillips for too often, but he's not been doing as badly when he has bowled either. So, despite their fast bowlers going for runs and they were at risk of their blueprint being broken, I thought it shows how good of a strategical team they are when they held their nerve with the spinners bowling economically, and they stifled the South African batsmen in the middle overs. So a very good performance from New Zealand, and they'll be facing India in the finals, and let's see how that goes. If you enjoyed the video, please subscribe, share with friends, remember, this is my opinion. What's yours?